Hey everybody, welcome back to Between the Distance. This is podcast number 3. Cat flew across the ocean blue in 2022 or 2022. Had to make it a Christopher Columbus pun
Yeah.
since we're talking about how whoever made the jump,
Mm.
how we did that.
Even though he's now associated with all sorts of sketchy stuff.
Yeah, no, we don't support Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
No. So the topic of discussion for today is going to be talking about how we decided who moved because that's the subject the poll won this week. Next week we're not going to run a poll because we have our wedding on Thursday, so basically that Friday podcast is going to be about that.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, so what do we want to start with?
I don't know.
You don't know. I'm just
We
here with
didn't
my
um
coffee.
we didn't prepare a script, but we didn't prepare a specific list of things we wanted to talk about.
I think
Um
the biggest reason we chose it was because of healthcare
mm,
for you.
yeah.
Nothing to do with me, you know, even though I do have issues. But yeah, so probably the biggest cause of that was the healthcare aspect because all of your doctors are here, all your
Yeah.
medical records are here, you know.
And it doesn't cost a fortune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could already see that trying to get you AFOs made. I might as well cut off my right arm and give it to them. I'll sell you my
Yeah.
kidney.
Well, at least they won't make us bend over backwards to both work over there.
Mm,
So we should hopefully be able to afford it
yeah.
with whatever sketchy medical insurance we get.
Hey, the marketplace offers some really good health insurance. Yeah, you still have to pay for it. It's still got like some stipulations and stuff, but
What's the marketplace?
it's stuff that is for the Affordable Care Act.
Oh, okay.
So we didn't have
I
the
thought that was
market.
just Obamacare.
That's what it is. It's
Oh,
Obamacare,
okay.
but
Right, okay.
it's the Affordable Care Act.
Mm,
So they made the marketplace available for low income families who
mm,
need health insurance that can't afford it through their employer, can't afford it privately.
yeah,
It's basically, but it's the line between state funded healthcare, so like Medicaid, and private healthcare. So if you make too much to not be able to qualify for Medicaid, but you don't make enough to buy private healthcare, you meet in the middle, and that's what the marketplace is.
right.
Yeah.
How
So
much does medical insurance cost when it's not under the affordable stuff?
I think every 2 weeks. I think it was like $245 for my mom, I think is what she said.
But is
She could
her
correct me,
plan,
but I think it was like over $500 a month.
but is her plan like a family plan?
Hmm.
Or, oh, okay.
When I worked at another, like when I worked at a call center, I think I paid 87 a
Mm,
week or every 2 weeks, sorry.
every 2 weeks.
Yeah, every 2 weeks. I think I paid 87, but I chose the lowest of the low basic health care that I could, just as
Yeah.
long as I had something that I could go see my cardiologist with.
Mm,
So, um, or get my glasses
all
because
that
I'm
stuff is
blind
going
as
to be
that.
very hard for me to grasp.
Yeah.
Like deductibles and all that bullshit.
Mm.
Pardon my
So,
French, but
deductibles in the healthcare system.
I get the principle of you know, you pay a certain amount towards it and they pay the rest.
Okay.
I kinda
So,
get that, but
deductibles is um okay, so when you get a healthcare plan, they'll tell you you have like if you're lucky, you have a $2,000 deductible,
mm,
right? So the way that it works is before your insurance kicks in and pays for anything, prescriptions, doctor's appointments, anything,
You've got to hit that
you've
threshold.
got to pay $2,000 out of pocket.
Right.
That's a deductible.
Is that per event
That's
or
once a year.
okay?
That's annually.
Right.
So we start opening up to buy healthcare plans in November.
Mm.
That's another thing about healthcare. So you cannot buy healthcare any other time during the year unless you have a major life event. So you've changed a job, you've gotten married, you've had a child, things like that. Um,
I know a little bit about that, but not why you do it.
yeah. So
Is
what do you
there a
mean?
is there
Why?
well, why do you choose? Why does your country choose to do it that way? Why is there a specific like open season on healthcare?
Open
And then
season like hunting season.
they're hunting for clients.
uh,
Are they not?
it's mostly just because um,
Just people don't want to be bothered
it's
by it all
basically to keep
year.
people on track of like you pay you pay a certain annual like you at overtime you pay an annual rate, right?
Right.
So it's easier to pay it that way. It's
Mm.
not like car insurance, which it really should be. I should be able to buy freaking health insurance in May if I
So
want
is it
to.
literally just the health insurance companies want to make it easy for themselves so they know that they
Yeah.
only have to bill people at a specific time of year?
Yeah, here's my mom. She's telling open enrollment is the right name for it.
Ah,
I was getting there. I knew it was called open enrollment. I've worked for the marketplace before,
yeah.
but it is called open enrollment. So it starts in November. It goes until the 1st of February. And then after that, you cannot buy health insurance the rest of the year unless it's a major life event. So, yeah,
That is a little crazy.
it is. I've been able to buy health insurance in the middle of the year because I lost my job, didn't
Mm.
get health insurance, and so I went to the marketplace to buy health insurance. It was a major life event. I lost my job. I didn't get
Yeah.
health insurance. But the good thing about health insurance is that you can be carried on your parents' health insurance until you're 26.
Mm.
So I was with my mom until 26, and then um, I didn't get it. I lost my health insurance, so that was crap. Um,
So you can get private health insurance here. Um, but as far as I'm aware, there's no restriction to a time of year because you could start a job that, and even then they don't pay for your like medical insurance. It's just like a discounted rate kind of thing.
yeah.
They pay something towards it,
Mhm.
but then even then, the amount that they pay towards it, you still have to pay tax on.
Right.
They have to declare that to
When
the
you go and get
government.
health insurance through your employer, we got really lucky with my mom's health insurance because we did have some good benefits when it came to like our prescriptions. Um, but it's like it is like open season for employers because they will try to pick the basic of the basic of the lowest of the
Mm.
low because the way that it goes is that a company will go to like health insurance like we have like United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Humana mostly works in like Medicare, but
Mm.
we like they do have some health insurance plans.
Yeah.
But a company will go to a health insurance provider and they'll say, "We have X amount of employees. What is your rate for us to buy into your health plan?" Right? So they will come back with, a number. This one will come back with a number. This one will come back with a number. And then they pick the lowest of the low of the low.
Yeah.
And then their employees come out with like a $7,000 deductible where they're, um, and then, they'll tell you it costs you $75 to see your GP. It costs you $100 to see your specialist. They do give you time to choose of
Mm.
like what kind of health insurance. The good thing about some of the health insurances that I've had is that they'll give you three different options. So depending on how much you want to spend out of your paycheck every 2 weeks or every month, whichever your employer payroll
Yeah.
goes on. So yeah, so they'll let you pick the basic or the best. So usually the way that works is that like that company that they've chosen to like go with, your employer goes with, they'll come back with three different plans. Basic, mid, best. And then they'll give you time to pick which kind you want. And then
Mm.
you can choose how much you want to pay. Not how much, but you choose from the three plans,
Yeah.
best fit your budget. So I always chose basics. Like, just as long as I can have my glasses because I'm blind as a bat and I can see my cardiologist.
So is it discounted compared to like if you were to buy it yourself?
If you were to buy completely privately, not through the marketplace,
Mm.
yeah, it is a better rate to get it through your employer than it would be
Like
for
it,
you to go
I
buy
mean like
private health
so
care.
comparing like for like so the exact same provider, the exact same plan, you would pay more if you just went and got it yourself versus if you
Usually
had the employer,
employers get a discount because
the bulk.
they're they're insuring multiple employees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See here, it's my understanding because I've never had private medical insurance is the employer doesn't get a discounted rate just because they're like offering it to multiple people.
Mhm.
They pay part of it for you. So
Yeah,
if your
ours does too.
annual insurance would cost like £500 because it's actually not that expensive here. What?
My mom's writing paragraphs. But yeah, that's what they do is
I
they
was just
pay part of
sorry.
it.
I was just gonna very quickly say
Yeah.
it was what I was trying to say before was that so let's say it's like 500 £600 a year. They might pay like 200 towards that, and you pay the rest out of your pay slip.
Yeah.
So even then, though, that £200 that they pay for you, you then pay the tax on that.
Yeah.
So as far as the government is concerned, that £200 that they paid for you is equivalent to them paying you £200 directly.
Yeah.
So if that is what you were going to spend it on anyway, yeah, it's cheaper. But if you had no intention of getting medical insurance, you would actually be worse off.
Yeah, so it's called group insurance, and the employer will pay a portion of it. Employees will pay the other part.
Yeah.
So it's a benefit. Um, but yeah, so that was a big reason why we kind of chose who was gonna move. Was we were kind of afraid of medical costs.
Yeah.
If you needed another surgery,
Which I may one
yeah,
day. Yeah.
um, you may need later on. Um, but
Well, unfortunately, it could kind of happen at any time because I was told 18 or 21.
yeah,
The in-depth detail of that is like I may get arthritis in my ankles.
right.
So obviously you know, but like yeah, just rather than being super vague about it, I may get arthritis in my ankles and the bones may need to be fused.
Yeah.
And who knows what that would cost over there.
Yeah, my mom is over here. Yeah. So to just reiterate, she says, along with dental, vision, life, and accidental death and dismemberment benefits.
Dismemberment benefits.
Dismemberment. I always thought that was so weird when they handed me that package, especially when I worked at a factory. Like when I worked at a factory, I had never seen the company push health insurance so much. And at the bottom of it, it says accidental death and dismemberment. And I'm like, who stuck their hand in a machine? Like, I was like, am I gonna lose my hand? But yeah, they do have the accidental death and dismemberment and stuff. So,
Crazy.
yeah, but it was a lot of it had to do with health insurance. But I think I basically volunteered.
Mm.
I volunteered as tribute. I just said, you know what, whatever, I'll move. Because
Well,
I
also though, it's
also,
the waiting time the other way around.
yeah, the waiting time for the visas was
Yeah,
13 and a half months, and the U.S. does not have any priority
yeah.
services. So that
And the
means I would have
thing
to
to
come over here.
file to allow me in the country while waiting for the visa decision, that would have took 11 months.
Yeah, it
So,
was pointless.
yeah, there's literally no point.
Why do you even have that? But
And remember, your processing center, the Dallas one,
yeah,
was the fastest in the entire US,
yeah.
because the other regional centers we looked at for the same visa or the same, like, not waiver, because that was a different thing, but to get in the country without the visa yet, those were like 20 to 30 months. Some of them were 40. Crazy. The UK, you can kind of just, if you're just visiting, you can just turn up.
Yeah? Yeah, that
Um,
was the good thing about it is I could just I could wake up one day and said I'm gonna go to the UK and I could
yeah.
go and there would be no problem except for getting detained, which we've already
Oh, yeah.
talked about. But yeah, I think it was mostly just I volunteered.
Mm,
I like I realized that Texas might be a little hard for you, especially with the heat.
mm,
Which they are suffering tremendously
yeah.
right now with my mom every day on the phone. It's so hot. I'm just like, I feel bad if I say it's cool over here or it's raining.
Or you feel
Like,
bad for saying it's a warm day and it's like 20 degrees for us.
yeah. Which it was just pouring down raining.
Yeah.
Like, pouring, I mean, the
I could
sky.
hear it from two different
Yeah, the
locations. I could
sky
hear it
just
from the
dropped
window we
out.
sat next to, and I could hear it, I think, from the front door,
Yeah.
which is like, all the way through several other doors.
I think another big reason that I just decided to move was because I wanted to absolutely completely start over. I wanted to just like wipe the plate clean,
Mm,
like just wipe the memory board.
yeah.
So,
Well, like a lot of shit stuff had sort of happened like
yeah.
half a year before or so,
Yeah.
and for several years before that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What is my Oh, yeah, and then my mom's talking about the polar apocalypse that happened in Texas of 2021 when
Oh, where it like all froze,
yeah, it
like
all
super
frozen. We
cold.
were not prepared. I tell you, when you go up into the north in the U.S., they're just like it snowed, it iced, whatever.
Yeah.
Still gotta go to work. My boss wants to know when I'm gonna be in. If you go to Texas and it snows and it freezes, all hell breaks loose.
Mm,
Nobody knows what to do. They're just like, if I even try to back out of my driveway, I'm gonna die
yeah.
today.
See, I don't think we really had that on the news, but just a coincidental, ironic point is at that point in time, I was playing games with someone on PC who had an American spouse who was from Texas.
Mm,
Like, very strange coincidence. And I think, was it like the February that it was super bad? Yeah,
mhm.
because it was just around then they had just gone to, like, they were long distance.
Yeah.
And I think she was eventually coming over,
Mhm.
but they were already married, and he had just gone to
I
Texas
I
in that February.
I think right before that happened was right after we had, because we were still friends. We were
Yeah.
still friends. So like it turned into like a once a year kind of thing
Mm,
of just like, hey, are you okay? You haven't died, right? Like everything's good.
yeah.
Like so we had just spoken like mid January, and then after that is when the polar apocalypse happened.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, yeah, I just completely wanted to just leave. I I had my parents, I had my very few friends, but it just at the time didn't feel worth it. Like
mm.
not that my family wasn't worth it. That's not
No,
what I
no, but
mean.
all the horrible shit that
Yeah,
had
it was
happened,
just I just wanted to move.
and
I
being in close proximity to it, considering like
Yeah.
you bumped into affiliated people fairly often at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Affiliated. Affiliated people. I like you're very reserved about what we talk about, and I'm just like, here's my cards. Like, here's my life story. I really don't care. It,
Well,
I
that's what it is, though. Like, it it was a collection of people.
yeah,
So,
it was
like
just a
some
bad
family, some
experience.
friends, like their family. I mean,
Yeah. I went
so
from having a very diverse and large friend group to overnight, like, my life completely changed
mm,
because of two major events that happened to me. And, um, yeah, I didn't want to deal with it
yeah,
anymore. Like, I didn't want to have to worry about going to Walmart and running into my ex-husband.
yeah,
I didn't feel like it. And considering like where my parents live, where they live, it's very close to each other.
mm,
So like the stores and everything that are right around there, I was just like, I don't I don't feel like it. I don't feel like having that argument. I don't have it in me anymore.
yeah.
So yeah, so I basically volunteered. It was just like it seems like the best choice considering your health,
Mm.
my health, and that I wanted to wipe the
See, I was
slate.
worried about the health aspect. But for me, it was mostly about time. Like, it meant we could try being together in person much sooner.
Yeah.
Like, no insane waiting time just to actually see each other. It would have literally been like,
Talk a little louder.
oh, it would have literally been like a year and a half until we'd seen each other in person from when we started dating again.
Yeah.
Had we gone that route, and that would have sucked.
Yeah, when I was here we
Also, there's
already
still thunder.
yeah, still thundering. Just give it a
I
minute,
doubt
it'll
either of
start
our
dropping out again.
microphones are gonna pick it up, but it sounds nice.
Um okay. Um but yeah, so there was never a time that like I left here and didn't know approximately when I was going to come back.
Yeah.
It was always like a month to maybe 2 months.
Mhm.
So if we would have done it the other way around, it would have been I had to come visit and then had to go home and either wait or I would have to keep coming back for 6 months. And
Yeah.
then eventually the UK government would have just been like, yeah, this is your third visit for 6 months. And less than 2 years.
Well, that's why we did the visitor visa the second time.
Yeah.
Like, you could have came straight back legally, but we didn't want there to be that question there of like, are you using visiting the UK as an excuse to live here informally? So we kind of just laid everything out on the table and said, because the first time, well, you didn't need a visa in general, but we didn't get one the first time because you absolutely didn't need it.
Yeah.
The second time, it was kind of like, okay, she's only just left after about 6 months. This is why she's coming straight back, and these are our intentions.
Yeah.
Like that you were gonna be coming to live, but that's not what we were starting now. It was just purely the horrible coincidence of the fact that you had to go back right before the holidays. And we both kind of took it kind of hard. So we
Yeah.
couldn't have, and with the priority not being open, we couldn't have waited like 5 months. That would have really sucked.
Yeah, I just I liked the time aspect. I liked not being like not having to wait too much. There were just a lot of other aspects as well. But we're moving to Texas.
Yeah, I'm gonna get cooked alive.
No, we have air conditioning inside.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have to step outside. And the moment I feel like the moment I step outside, I'm gonna like catch fire.
We'll get you an umbrella and some
Mm.
sunscreen.
I need like one of those like handheld fans, not just the normal ones though, that like spray the mist and
Yeah,
then use the fan to like cool the mist,
yeah.
just in case I burst into flames.
So, I think it's only fair. I made the jump first. It's your turn. So yeah, he's gonna make the jump.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you ready? Are you
Yeah.
ready? Are you ready to go?
Mm.
Are you excited?
I'm excited about parts of it. There are bits like again. I've been out of the UK before, but only ever on holiday.
Yeah.
Obviously, you would never done anything like it before you came here, but like it's different seeing someone go through it versus going through it yourself. Like I saw that it was difficult for you. There were a multitude of reasons behind that. But I did. Which way around? I get the words confused. Like sympathy is like when you haven't. No, sympathy is when you have gone through it, right? And then empathy is just putting yourself in their shoes as though you have. So yeah, so I could empathize, but I couldn't really sympathize because I
Yeah.
hadn't been through it myself.
It is very hard and taxing.
Yeah.
Like if it had nothing to do with friends or family and we just went off the basis of having to prepare, having to go through airports, visas, passports, like getting a visa is not just sending a piece of paper off in the mail.
Well,
Like,
I know that bit because while you did do the visa applications,
yeah.
I was there for every step of it and I helped put the evidence together. And I had to get my own bits of evidence too.
I just think people think that that's what it is.
Mm.
Is that you put a piece of paper in the mail or you fill something out online. It's
For like a
not.
visitor, yeah. Poor.
You still have to go to an application center. Here you will have to go to an embassy.
Mm.
So we will have to go to London to get that for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's difficult because it's exhausting
Mm.
having to pack, prepare, and I mean, like I had a checklist of like everything that I needed. It like the first time, yeah, I had a checklist, but I was like, if I forget something, oh well. Like if I forget it, I forget it. I can get it the next time I go. It's no big
Yeah.
deal. But when I moved, I was like, okay, I have to make sure I have absolutely everything that I need because I'm not coming back. I don't know when I'm gonna be back. And it costs a lot for my mom to send me stuff. So I'm not gonna tell her,
Yeah.
Mom, I forgot my straightener. Can you send it to me? She'd be like, it's cheaper for you to go buy a straightener than it
Yeah.
is for me to send it to you. So yeah. And then when you get on a plane and you have multiple like destinations, it's exhausting.
Mm.
I will never, ever, ever again take a plane that has two or more layovers. Because I had a layover in London, I had a layover in Boston, and then I made it to DFW. So
Yeah.
I went from Manchester, London, London to Boston, Boston to DFW. Oh my god, I was exhausted.
I don't get really what I know. Obviously, it makes it cheaper in some instances, which it did. But like, I don't know why there were two layovers that time. Because the reason why there seems to be one layover every other time is because they're almost the. It sounds really stupid because you can fly from like Manchester to places in Europe. So
Yeah.
when I say international, I mean like worldwide.
Yeah.
So there almost needs to be, it's like there needs to be one worldwide international airport on one of the sites. So it's like you couldn't go for, well, on both sides, I suppose. So you couldn't go straight from Manchester all the way there because Manchester doesn't. send flights out that far, generally speaking. Yeah, you can go from Manchester to like parts of Europe, but they are right next door. You're like
There were
one, two
some
hour
direct
flights.
flights.
They
There,
were always like 3 times the price
yeah.
though, for some
See,
strange reason.
if I would have lived on the East Coast, I could have gotten direct flights, and it wouldn't have been
Mm,
that big of a deal. I liked the last trip that I did, the big move,
yeah,
because I went from DFW to New York, and then New York to Manchester.
yeah,
So I didn't stop in London. I didn't stop anywhere else. I liked that I made that jump right there in the US. It was quick and painless. And then to Manchester. And then Manchester, I took the train.
yeah.
Like I'm used to taking the bus. I usually take the coach. But by the time I got there early.
Mm,
So if I would have waited for my coach, I would have been waiting for another 2 hours, and I was exhausted. So I was like, nah, the train is going to leave in like 15 minutes. I'm going to take the train. So I took the train from the airport to Lime Street and then took a taxi.
yeah,
I was so early that you were still asleep when I got there.
yeah,
Like, because I walked in the front door and your mom was so shocked to see me because, I was early. So she was like, yeah, your plane must have been early. Did you wait? Did you take the coach? I said no, I took the train. She said, oh, so that must be why he's still asleep. Cause
yeah. Because there's that really awkward gap with the buses.
3 hours, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I say buses, the coaches, because buses, aside from like well, they stop overnight, but all day they're perfect. Basically, you can get a bus like every 15 minutes. But these are like a third party company to specifically take people between like big destinations. They do run their own routes, but it's big destinations rather than just like, okay, I want to go from this part of Liverpool to that part of Liverpool, or like slightly outside of Liverpool maybe. So every time I dropped you off because we always went the morning flights seem to be the cheapest every time, which I will say when we move, because we'll have saved up money, we're taking a later flight. We're not going at like 6 in the morning. I
Oh my
can't do that.
god, I remember waking up at
Um,
2 a.m. to catch the coach the
well, there was
last
the night
time.
we didn't sleep. Remember
Yeah,
that time
good
when
point.
when we were in our own house the first time, and you left. We stayed up the whole night together.
We did
We
this last time
left.
too. We
Well,
tried to
yeah,
go to sleep, it didn't work.
yeah, but last time we didn't even try.
Yeah.
Um, we just sat on the couch. We watched a couple of movies. Felt really crap. Um, and then got a taxi at like 3 in the morning. And then so by the time you ended up getting through check-in like super quick, so we got to spend hardly any time together. And then I think I was there from like 4 in the morning until about 10.
Yeah, because the bus was
I
late.
was there for 6 hours because yeah, it was supposed to be 9, which so it would have been 5 hours, which isn't much better. But yeah, the bus was completely late, and then the second time it broke down. Remember? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that like 5 hours, and that was a horrible thing to go through after like having to see you off, and
Should have
then
taken
like
the train.
we were texting, but no, I wasn't in the right state of mind to be honest. I was kind of all over the place. And then I had that absolute stranger come up to me and he was like, I've lost my phone. Can you ring it to see if anyone has it? And then I ring that number and I start getting all those weird texts
That was
from,
sneaky.
yeah. The guy started claiming, by the way, towards the end. Obviously, I've not had a text from him since then. I think
Yeah.
I blocked the number. He started claiming that, the number I had rang was his friend's who was in prison. Yeah, there was some really weird
That's
stuff.
some sketchy stuff right there.
Yeah,
Yeah. But anyway, so like, yeah, so I took the train and I had never been to Liverpool Lime Street
mm,
ever. It's massive in there.
yeah,
I was like,
huge tall ceilings.
yeah,
Well, you've seen Harry Potter.
Yeah.
like they are the old
It was
style
the
train
Harry
stations.
Potter, I swear.
Lime Street Station, it's been remodeled inside,
Yeah.
but the building is like the original building going back God knows how many
Yeah,
years.
when I stepped off the train, I was like, "This is Harry Potter stuff,
Yeah,
man!" Like, but it's not the old steamer, you know.
well yeah,
It's the new types
but
of trains. But
from when
yeah.
I was a kid, my granddad would come to Liverpool like 3 times a year, and
Hmm.
every time he came, we'd meet him at Lime Street.
Yeah,
So,
never been in there,
is
and
there
it
still a
was
Burger
nasty.
King in there? I haven't been
Yeah,
in there in a while.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a Burger King in there. There's a few things in there now.
Well, there was a
Um,
few shops, but the only proper food place at the time was Burger King, I think.
yeah, the I didn't really get much of a time to look around because I was so tired at that point. I was dropping luggage.
Yeah.
I was just dropping it everywhere. I was like, I can barely keep my eyes open. I felt bad because I was on the train with all of these
Yeah.
bags in a six-seater. I'm pretty sure people were looking at me like, and
Was the
I'm
train
just
like
like, I'm so sorry.
full though?
Huh?
Was the train like full?
It would get full, yeah. It
Uh,
would, like, because we made several stops. I think there was like 10 stops.
well, yeah.
So, yeah, people would get on, get off, get on, get off, get on, you know. But, yeah, it was nice because it would start from the airport, it would go all the way to Lime Street, and then it would come back. So it was just, that was its path. It
Yeah.
was just back and forth. But, yeah, so we're getting off the
What was
subject of,
the airport like an end terminal?
it
Did
is,
it not like?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's an end terminal. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the train would come in. There was nowhere else for it to go.
Yeah,
Yeah, because the platform you would come down the escalator,
yeah.
you would go across
Mm,
where the train would stop right there,
yeah.
and then come stand. And there was two tracks, so there was one for somewhere else. I think
Mhm.
it was just for Manchester, somewhere like in the Manchester City area.
Yeah.
And then the other side was Lime Street. So yeah,
So
it
no,
was
sorry we're veering slightly further off topic, but because we may go there one day.
yeah.
Hopefully. The Southport train station I know is like an end terminal as well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, there are quite a few of them.
Yeah.
And I think obviously these days a lot of the stuff like track switching's kind of handled automatically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're moving to Texas. You're gonna make the jump. So what are you excited for?
Um, there are some right answers and there are some wrong answers. The thing I should say is to meet Kat's family.
But
The
you're gonna
thing,
meet them this year.
oh well, extended family.
Okay.
The thing I'm gonna say is probably food.
Food. I knew
Yeah.
it. Food.
Um, and then drinks because a lot of them will be like they were when I was a kid. They might still be a bit different, but like a lot of the things you try here and say, oh, that's totally different, I don't even drink them anymore because they've been ruined since I
Yeah.
was a kid.
Well, you're gonna get to try proper Dr. Pepper in a place where Dr. Pepper was invented.
Very true.
We can go to the Dr. Pepper Museum in case anybody doesn't know I am from Waco. So
And Big Red was actually kind of nice.
Big Red. I miss this
It
so
rarely
much.
is just like a cream soda though.
My mom said I get to hang out with my awesome mother-in-law. Ha 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 ha. But yeah, so there is so many things I want to show you. It's gonna be so much fun. Um, I'm usually not like a big deal for Waco. I'm like
Mm.
I'll tell people I'm from Waco, and when you
You always get the weird questions though, like that have come up almost every taxi, like
almost
literally
every time. I mean, literally.
almost every taxi driver.
Yeah.
Some of them will let it go at the surface level of Texas, and they're like, "Oh, that's really cool." Everyone who delves deeper is like, "Oh, hey, David Koresh."
David Koresh. And that's the thing is Waco has such a different tag now. It has like such a different thing of what you think of Waco for. For us, Wacoans, we
Is that what you call, by the way?
Wacoans, yeah, Wacoins.
Oh,
So
that's not as weird as our name.
hey, it's not as weird as Liverpoolians, okay?
Liverpudlians, actually.
Pudlians.
Yeah, it's even weirder than
Okay,
that.
you
Yeah, or puddles.
Puddles.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so to us, when we think of Waco, we think of, yeah, we'll think of the mid stop between Dallas and Austin. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was meant for if you were making a big long trip from Austin to Dallas, Dallas to Austin, if you need to stop and get gas, petrol. Um, you wanted to take a break, you wanted to get something to eat, or you were too tired to keep driving, you got a hotel. That was what Waco was for. And now everywhere around the world, it's known for, or Wacoans. My mom says it's Wacoans, but whatever. I'm not. See, I'm not that. I'm not just not. I'm not asked. I'm just like Waco. Yeah. So to us, yeah, we know about David Koresh. Well,
Obviously.
that was just a thing. And it wasn't even in Waco. It was in like Mount Carmel or something like that. It
Yeah.
was like a Mount something. It's like
I do think it
almost
was
like a
like.
suburb. It's really
Yeah.
close, but it's not quite Waco,
Mm.
you know. But now, if you ask everybody in the freaking U.S., have you heard of Waco, Texas? They'd be like, "Oh yeah, where Chip and Joanna are from," and we're like, "You."
See, I'd never heard of that whole stuff
Oh
until you
my
told me
God,
about it.
they've ruined us. They have ruined. No, it's a thing. Yeah, like Baylor and Chip and Joanna.
Mm.
My mom likes to give me pointers. She's very passionate about Chip and Joanna.
Alright.
Because she does not like them either.
Mm.
At first, we thought it might be a good idea,
Yeah.
because Waco kind of started going down a little bit, and
Mm.
we were like, if we could bring, a couple of fresh things to Waco, where they did a couple of houses, made the area look a little bit nicer, and now all they've done is buy up all of our historical things, send our taxes through the freaking roof, and now we've had a construction project on I-35 because of it. And our suspension bridge has gotten a construction remodel. Like, and Waco was known for a suspension bridge. It's right on the Brazos River. When it was first founded, you would have to cross over from one side of the Brazos to the other side to get goods,
Yeah.
and that was the suspension bridge. It's famous. It's still there. And now all it's owned by is that Chip and Joanna. And it's like, why do you want to come from everywhere in the United States for a furniture store and $15 soup?
It happens everywhere though. Like, you've surely by now noticed the amount of people in Liverpool who aren't from Liverpool.
Yeah,
And that's in no means like a racial comment or people from other countries. It's people from other parts of the UK,
yeah,
especially further down south.
yeah,
It's like, oh, well, I'm a first time home buyer with middle class parents, and my parents can't afford to give me enough money for a deposit in a home in the area I'm from,
yeah.
so I'll just look slightly further
But
north.
Liverpool has been a famous city. It has it like I understand that the housing market is crap because of that mentality. But Liverpool has been a famous city. It
Yeah, but
wasn't
it
Waco was never anything special. Liverpool used to be the biggest port in the UK. It was for exporting, importing. It was the biggest thing. And then when it started to go downhill, like um, when they started building ships in Belfast rather than building them here, that's when we got the Beatles.
aside from the Beatles, though, really, we haven't been relevant in like 60
The
years,
Beatles is still a big thing.
and most of the UK hates us. And also, you can speak to people from other countries who don't even know what Liverpool is, and you can say, oh, it's where the Beatles were from. And there are actually people now, and it's not people younger than us even, people in our generation and around that, who you'll say, oh, it's where the Beatles are from. Who were the Beatles? I've had that as a response
I've
before.
never had Who Are the Beatles. I've had what is Liverpool? Where is it? I've had that. And then I'll tell them, oh, it's where the Beatles are from. Okay. But where is it? Because if for some reason Americans have like this big misconception that London is just the UK. Just
Yeah.
this whole thing. Like there's nowhere else in the UK but London.
Mm.
And I'm just like, no. for one, we have a whole bunch of people that are huge Titanic fans. Me being one of them, I love Titanic.
Yeah.
Titanic sailed from Southampton, so and that's in the south, below London. So that's another place. Um, Technically, the UK is composed of three different countries. So, you know, yes, it is. It's composed of England, Scotland. Okay, what's the fourth one?
Northern Ireland.
What?
England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland.
Okay, yeah, Wales. I'm sorry. My bad. I apologize. I
Forgetting
forgot about
that
Wales.
is
I forgot
something
about
that
Wales. I'm
will
so
get you
sorry.
attacked in the
I am
UK.
so sorry. I forgot.
Too many, too many
I'm so
people
sorry.
even
Wales.
no,
I know
too
that
many
Wales
people
is
even
here.
in the UK treat Wales as though it is just another part of
I
England.
knew that Wales is here,
I
so
know,
I
I
get it.
know, but what
Wales
I'm
is
saying
here.
is,
So England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. So it composed of four different countries.
even people in the UK will treat Wales as though it's just another part of England.
Yeah.
And luckily enough, Wales is the country within the UK that England gets along the best with.
Right.
So not every Welsh person minds. But then, funnily enough, there are like Scottish people who get very offended on behalf of Wales because they don't want to be associated with us. So they're like, stop associating that other country with them because we're awful, apparently. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing special about Waco. It it was the stop, and now they've tried to turn it into something that it's not.
Hmm.
We're For us, Waco is we were a mid-town, like a mid-sized town, but we're all still like very small town people. We're just we want to be able to live our lives in peace and be able to afford our homes and our taxes, and that's what we wanted out of Waco. And now they're trying to turn it into a tourist town.
Hmm.
Liverpool, to me, has always been a tourist town. It just has been because I like the Beatles, and
It
you know
happens everywhere in the UK though. Like, it happens in Manchester. It happens in little towns between Liverpool and Manchester.
yeah,
It's kind of the thing that people do in the UK is they flock north for the better prices
yeah,
while hating us. And then the areas end up gentrified,
yeah.
so they become a lot posher than they were beforehand.
See, when we think of England, we think of, especially like because my mom just pointed out, yeah, we think of the British heavy metal movement
Mm.
and like the pop movement. So we think of like Def Leppard. Aw,
Def Leppard
we
is good, but saying that that's heavy metal is
wait a minute.
disrespect.
I need you to carefully
Okay,
go
okay.
around your words here. Just kidding.
They are at best, they are a hair metal band.
Okay, they're a hair metal band.
I
Whatever.
would still say rock though.
But Def Leppard, Duran Duran, the Beatles, Queen. Queen. I love Queen so much.
You really got to put some respect on the metal name though. Like, literally Black Sabbath,
Well, yeah, Black Sabbath.
Iron Maiden.
Okay, I'm gonna leave that one alone because I'm not really that big of an Iron Maiden
Ooh.
fan. I'm not that big. Def Leppard will forever hold my heart. I'm sorry.
I do like Def Leppard, but when you say the British heavy metal movement and then things like Duran Duran in the same sentence, Duran Duran, I love Duran Duran. That is not metal.
Yeah, my mom tried to backtrack a little bit because she said she mentioned a whole bunch of bands, and at the end of that paragraph said, "and the Queen." But I like Queen. like
Mm.
I just, but yeah, the Queen. So yeah, she was, she's not here anymore, and that's what we thought about. Like she was the longest reigning monarch.
Yeah.
Even in the U.S., she had like big influences. People loved her
Before
so
we
much.
move on from music, I just have to say on the like million to one chance that my dad ever watches this, nobody said Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd.
So
Oh my
that
god.
that's one that I feel like not enough people outside of the UK
Hmm.
actually know about Pink Floyd aside from like, oh hey, another brick in the wall.
You know what I
You
hate
could
so
play
much?
that song and so many people will recognize it, but you go to some of the slightly more obscure Pink Floyd songs and they're like, who the hell's this?
You know what I hate so much
Go on.
is people who wear T-shirts with bands on them
And they have no
and
idea who
they
they
have
are.
no idea who they
Yeah.
are. And I'm like, take that Nirvana T-shirt off. Tell me one song other than "Smells Like Teen Spirit," and
Well, have
I'm
you
just
seen the
take
big
it
rise
off.
in people wearing Metallica t-shirts
But then you get those
because of
people that
Stranger
will
Things?
like you get that generation that's right below us that will wear the Pink Floyd shirts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can you tell me any other song besides Another Brick in the Wall, please?
Uncomfortably numb, because
And
that one
Comfortably
doesn't
Numb.
count either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you could tell me about like Hey You
Yeah.
and Learning to Fly and Money,
Dogs are War.
yeah. If you could just, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you have the right to wear the
Yeah.
T-shirt. That quit
Yeah.
buying the freaking T-shirts. But yeah, so we think of we think of the bands and we think of the monarchy,
Yeah.
especially we don't think about King Charles. we we are all still very much it's the queen, bro. It's the queen for me.
It's
So
just because she was such a constant, though.
she
Like,
was.
aside from people in her generation, almost anyone alive today, she is the, aside from Charles now, she is the only English monarch that anyone knows. Like,
Is that a comment from my mom or what is that?
some, like, scam thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
so we got a scam comment for the first time, yeah.
yeah. And I don't know how to get rid of it through this.
I don't know. I'll figure it out, whatever. We can figure it out
Yeah.
afterward.
I usually do it through my phone, but the Twitch app wasn't working. You are a moderator in the Twitch chat.
Yeah.
We both are, like on our personal accounts.
I don't really know how to do it from this, so
It's fine. It's not actually showing up on the stream.
yeah.
That's just like a preview for us to see.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
But yeah, she was a constant. She just was around for so long that I think everybody just thought that that woman was invincible.
Yeah.
She was never gonna go anywhere, and
But at the
she was
same
such a
time, I think
badass.
that is the like image that the monarchy and our government very much wanted to represent. Like, she wasn't allowed to show weakness. She wasn't allowed to show age slowing her down. Like, it was a very big deal when she met Liz Truss, which, God, I can't believe that was the last Prime Minister she swore in, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That is very unlucky. But during that meeting, she had like bruises on the back of her hand, and that was such a big deal that, like, oh wow, like the Queen's got a visible injury,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Like, not really allowed to use like walking aids and things like that, aside from like a cane, because a cane can be seen as like fancy.
Yeah.
Um,
I will
but
always
yeah,
cry when we watch The Crown and she, like, it had when she first became queen. I bawled like a baby. I did. Every time I watch that episode, I cry like a baby.
mm,
Our thing is not up.
mm,
Let me. Oh, hold on. There we go. It went
okay,
black for a minute. But yeah, I bawled like a baby. But anyway, so yeah, so we're gonna move to Texas. I think we've kind of picked around like the end of 2024, maybe early 2025. That's
it
like,
purely depends on money though,
yeah, it depends on
and
money,
then
but
the
like that's
government,
the end goal.
because like we want to build up a certain level of savings, then put the visa in, and then that visa could come back in 2 months, could come back in 6 months, or it could be over a year.
Yeah.
But if we assume it's going to be a year and put it in when we're a year away from the savings goal, it will guarantee come back in a month or two and we'll be screwed.
I just think it'll be I think it'll be a good move for us. It gives us a sense of family and friend dynamics
Yeah,
cuz we are very much just you and I
yeah,
here. And even though I can be a very introverted person, there are times that I want to be extroverted. I
mm.
want to have people around me that I can depend on and that I can talk to and I can spend time with.
The problem is, though, the few people we've got, we end up having to move quite far away from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not like super far away, but we are
Well, at least
further.
there are like current financial budget.
Right.
We can't afford to make those kind of trips like
Yeah.
multiple times a month.
Yeah, I think it would give you a good sense of family
Mm,
because of the current like situation dynamic.
mm,
Yeah. So, it's it's just a thing of being able to have family to depend on.
yeah, I know.
So, yeah. And while you adjust, we get to be surrounded by people that are supportive and have a
Mm,
support system. So, I think it's a good idea to move. I think it's been tougher on me because I we haven't had that complete support system.
yeah.
And yeah. It I can always call my mom and vent to her, about what's going on in my life, but it's different when it's through a phone.
Yeah.
It's not the same as like sitting on the back porch, having something to drink. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, but having my vape and you know
Mm,
and yeah, it's different than being on the phone with her. So even though it is scary and it's gonna take a while to adjust, I think it will be better in the long run. So
I think the main reason why it's kind of scary for me, aside from the actual travel, is I am an introverted person.
yeah,
So,
talk a little louder.
oh, well, I am an introverted person.
Yeah,
So, being like the center of attention because I'm like the new person is difficult.
I don't think you will be the center of attention for long.
Hopefully,
Well, of course, everybody is going to want to to meet you and get to know
I
you.
get it. I,
But
I do get it.
but
And like, I'm happy to meet people.
yeah,
It's just maybe ease into it. Small numbers at first, not like, hey, we've been in Texas for a week. There's going to be this big meal with like 20 members of your family or
it's not gonna
something.
be like that.
Like,
So literally, the only people once my parents get here, really the only people that you need to meet are Nani and Pawpaw
mhm,
and Charla and Bill.
yeah.
Which you're gonna have to take Charla with a grain of salt because she thinks you're adorable. So she has a crush. I'm just
No.
kidding, but uh, so we're not gonna throw you in a deep end. We're
Mm,
not gonna just push you in and be like, here's everybody. Um, because we aren't that big anymore.
mm.
We still are larger than what you have, but it's just mom, dad, Macy, and Nani Pawpaw, Charlotte and Bill, their kids, and John and her son's wife now because he
See,
just
I
got
do
married.
have a very big side to my family.
Yeah.
It's just that even before the recent troubles, because I don't want to go into everything that
Yeah.
happened,
No.
but even before that, I didn't know them for a long time,
Right.
and they never really made an effort.
Yeah.
And then it was very much like, oh hey, I saw this kid when he was like 2, haven't seen him until he was like 16.
Right.
How's it going? And everyone wants to be like best friends and
Mhm.
like, because
If
when it comes to like cousins, again, there's my dad's side of the family, which you know is a little bit sparse. Um, but on my mum's side of the family, I have probably about 14 cousins.
Yeah.
Every single one of my, bear in mind, so I have, and this isn't like by marriage or anything, I have um, just two uncles and an auntie, but each of them has had like 7 kids,
Right.
and then some of them already have grandkids.
Yeah.
And if I was to have like sort of put myself out there, I would have those people in my life. But again, there is the fact that like I got cut off from that side of the family as a baby before I even knew,
Yeah.
and then I never saw any of them again.
It's
Um, and they could have reached out
right.
and never did. So me, a big thing with me, like yeah, I don't associate with a lot of people, but for me, it's always like quality over quantity.
Yeah.
I know not everyone's perfect, but like I would rather have like four really close friends than like 100 Facebook friends who I have like hardly any idea who they are.
Well, there's only the few people that you need to meet, um, and we're not gonna do it all at once.
Yeah,
You know, we give you time to settle. Um, you probably won't meet Brian and Val and their boys until like a holiday, Thanksgiving
mm.
or Christmas, because that's usually when we see them. We see them on holidays. So, but um,
So are there like big get-togethers on holidays?
it's just Nani, Papa, Mom, Dad, Macy, me, Brian, and Val, and two boys.
Oh, okay.
So it's not the way that we do Christmas and Thanksgiving is that even if you have like an aunt, they go and do stuff with their families. So
Right.
like Granny's sister, um, like Laureen. Laureen has her daughter, and they go do their.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's not like everybody in one house. It's usually grouped to who your children
Yeah.
are and their
Yeah.
children, kind of thing. So, um, but be thankful we used to have a whole bunch of other. We used to do Mother's Day and Father's Day and Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving because that's what we did when Granny was alive. Granny was kind of our
I don't have a
glue.
problem with the number of events.
Yeah.
It's just I was envisioning like a Christmas with like 20
No.
people.
No, we
Yeah.
don't. We're not doing all that. And then,
I don't. And again, it's not that I don't want to see any of them. I don't want it to come across that way. It's just that I don't do good in big groups.
no, it's not a big group,
Um,
and we're not gonna
I
throw you
would
into the deep end.
like. I would end up sitting in the corner somewhere very quiet.
Yeah. And plus, my mom has now gotten to that age where she wants to do her own thing.
Mm,
So on the day-to-day basis is my mom does her own thing, Macy does her own thing, Dad does his own thing, I do my own thing, you do your own thing, or we
yeah,
do our thing
yeah,
together. My mom, when she's not working, is always open to having people come sit outside with her when it's not excruciatingly hot.
yeah.
And sometimes we do sit out there and just talk for a while. Like until my dad gets bored. He's usually the one that goes in first. He'll go in from outside because he wants to play on his iPad or watch his movie or whatever. But we're all extroverted and introverted in our own ways.
Mm,
So we do like having the family dynamic of being able to spend time together, but then we also like being introverted where we get to have our own time and our own space and be by ourselves. And my mom's not that kind of person that intrudes into your space. If she knows that you're wanting to spend time by yourself, or like if you're in your room or whatever,
yeah.
and it's not absolutely dire important, she will leave you alone. She's done it to me. Like if she knows that especially like when I was talking to you, she knew that I was spending time with you because I missed you and I wasn't at home and all that stuff. She would leave me alone. She wouldn't come bother me unless it was absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Which usually the only time that she would come in and talk to me was because the pantry was in my room and they were getting ready to make dinner.
Mm.
So she just needed to come in and get something from the pantry and then she would leave. But then, like, when I wasn't on the phone with you, I would go outside, I would sit on my iPad, or I'd sit on my phone, whatever, talk to her and talk to Macy and stuff like that. So, like, when we're not busy doing our own thing, wanting to be by ourselves, then we'll sit and visit with each other.
Yeah.
So, but, it is 106, so we're over the time.
Do you want to keep talking a tiny bit longer, or
Unless you have anything else to talk about.
um,
I think we're kind of good, really.
Yeah.
So you good? You don't have anything else you want to talk about?
we didn't really get a chance to prepare.
Well.
So again, it's not that. Again, it's not that like anything would have been scripted, but it's like I like to sort of have like bullet points of like ideas for us to talk about.
I think we've just kind of hit all the bullet points of why we decided who moved.
Yeah.
And now that we've kind of reversed it, I've
Mhm.
made the jump and I'll be here until we make the jump again. You know,
Mhm.
yeah. That's just there's not much to it of why we decided to make the who made the jump. I volunteered. It was a good idea medical wise, and now because the situation and dynamic has changed,
Yeah.
where we've decided to make I'm making the jump back and you are making the jump. So I do miss Texas. I like the UK. I like that I've got to be able to immerse myself in the culture.
Mm.
Like it is different. It's not it's not just because we speak the same language. It is quite different. So, you know, it's fancier here with the
Uh,
fancy buildings. So
I don't think it's fancy here.
I think it's fancy. When you go to Texas, you'll think, oh yeah, yeah, I know why she thinks it's fancy.
Again, buildings aside, though, you've seen what a lot of the people are like here.
I like the people though, like when they're not acting completely 100% nuts.
Hmm.
I like the people.
A lot of them
They're
do,
friendly.
though, quite frequently.
Mm.
Like, pulling up to a shopping centre and there's two dudes fighting outside.
Hey, whatever. You do you.
Yeah.
But if I go down to the shop and I open my mouth and I ask for something and then I end up in a conversation with two or three people, it's nice.
Mm.
Yeah, I can be introverted, but sometimes I like just want to talk to other people from different places. It's
Yeah.
nice, and it's great to hear about different stories. And considering when you talk to people that are from this area, and
Mm.
then they go, "I'm not from Liverpool, but I'm from Bootle," or "I'm not from Liverpool, but I'm from Fazakerley," or "I'm from Litherland, Crosby."
Yeah.
To us, when you look on the map, you see Liverpool and all of its surrounding areas right there. You don't see that there's, you know, Southport, Crosby, Litherland, Bootle, Fazakerley, Kirkby, Huyton. There's a whole bunch of other places.
That is one thing I had to kind of get through to you at first. Because you sort of just assumed anywhere with a Liverpool postcode was Liverpool.
Yeah, my mom wanted me to show you something. I don't know what it is. Oh, Waco.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, like, when you look at us, you see Texas. That's what Texas looks like. To me, that's just. I know it's kind of hard to see, but to me, that's what Texas feels like. That's what Texas looks like. And when you see stuff here, it's very old, fancy feel. Like old European, just fanciness.
It's just because we're very protective of old buildings.
We are not. We will
So
tear them down in a
unless
heartbeat if they no
well,
longer
again,
serve a purpose.
that's the thing. The reason why they're not everywhere is because for a long time, yeah. But once a building's been around long enough, if no one's managed to get like planning permission to knock it down or to replace it or renovate it or whatever, eventually it becomes a listed building.
Yeah.
And once a building is listed, there's different grades to that.
Right.
and depending what grade it is, depends how controlling the councils and government are about what you're allowed to do with it.
Yeah.
So, my office in the city centre that I'm still technically tethered to, even though I'm a home worker, that's a listed building. So the inside, they paid for it and renovated it and everything, but the exterior you can't touch.
Yeah. Yeah, but my mom was saying that a lot of the downtown area of Waco is buildings that were not destroyed in the tornado. We had a
Mm.
huge tornado. I think it was like in like
Well, again, a lot of
1970
the
something.
buildings in Bootle are buildings that weren't bombed during World War Two.
Yeah, because Bootle was bombed
Yeah,
in World War II. Yeah, but like the Alico building survived. Like Waco is known for its Alico building.
yeah,
Or
you've
sorry,
shown me that one
1952
before.
was when the tornado happened.
Mhm.
So the Alico building survived. I'll have to find the tornado build or the tornado picture for you. It is awful, but like talk about mass destruction. But
That's one
yeah.
of the things that people complain about Bootle a lot, though, because most people from
Hmm.
it's sort of just the topic of conversation is like, oh, we were one of the heaviest
Yeah.
bombed towns during World War Two, and I think people in the UK are kind of sick of us talking about.
But the cool thing when I go down to the Boodle Strand and I stand outside the right outside the shopping center
Yeah,
is your dad sent me a picture of one of the oldest buildings in Liverpool that had been bombed and it's still there.
yeah.
And you can see it from the doors and I'm just like, man, that's freaking cool. Like those things are cool to me where it's like even if only half the building was bombed off, a lot of the times they were rebuilt just with new
Yeah,
bricks. So that building had
and then they
some
still end up
damage.
being protected.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that building had some damage and so I'm just like, man, that's freaking cool. Like, it was, right here this place was bombed. This is all, you know. And I know it
well,
sucks. I know it was a
literally,
sucky event, but it's like
I
I'm a
think it's
history buff.
like 80 to 90% of Bootle that got bombed because it's so close to the water. It was a big chunk,
Yeah. Yep. So,
especially since those docks connect like right to Liverpool.
can you believe that Dave had said, I think it was like his mom or grandmother or something that said that Boodle had never been bombed, that it was all a lie. And I'm just like,
People think that about other things, though. Like, there are people who think, for
mm,
example, the Holocaust never happened.
yeah, I'm like, have you seen the pictures? Have you
Yeah.
seen the pictures? Yeah, so this is Waco right after all of the.
Literally looks like it could
Yeah?
be somewhere in Bootle that was bombed or
Yeah?
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah,
ever
there's
showed your
also
mum
a
any of those
picture
photos?
somewhere. Huh?
You ever showed your mum any of those photos?
My mom is sending these photos.
No, I mean,
Oh,
like
no, I
of
haven't
like
showed.
Bootle being
I
bombed.
haven't showed her yet. I'll have to look through some of Bob's photos. But yeah, there's one picture that has the Alico building,
Hmm.
and then all around it's just destruction. So I'll have to find it at some point. But anyway, we are 14 minutes over.
Okay.
So yeah. But yeah, it was great talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we all know that I made the big jump, and now Connor's gonna make the big jump.
Mhm.
Hopefully sometime next year or the year after. So that's gonna be fun. But yeah, so next week we're gonna still have our podcast, even though we have our wedding on Thursday.
Mhm.
We have a big surprise for next week's podcast. By
Yeah.
the way, huge surprise. So everybody needs to like tune into that one. We're not, like I said, we're not gonna have a poll this week because we're gonna talk about our wedding next
Mhm.
week. So, but we will have a poll for the one after.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it.
Mhm.
That's it, you guys. So we hope to see you guys next week. We'll post updates about the wedding, of course, and then we'll post about next week's podcast. It's gonna be the same time. So hope
I'll have to
everybody enjoyed the
post some
podcast.
pictures and stuff.
Yeah, some pictures and stuff. All right, so we hope everybody enjoyed the podcast, and we will see you next week for episode 4.
Bye, guys.
Bye.